don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
So you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane. Flick my wrist and bought the ring. I'm so boss, we're not the same. Paid the cost and kept the change. Now I'm walking Hall of Fame. And I reside in the cloud. Grand wishes with these bitches. Taking pictures with the crowd, and I'm out.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Peace and blessings. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. What's good, what's good, what's good? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope all is well with everybody. Shout out to my voice writers, content creators, producers, actors, choreographers. The list is long, extensive, but my hats off to First Love's always going to be first and foremost imprinted in the art community. Hope y'all started the week off the way that you wanted to. I got International Rock in the studio. Congratulations to Sydney on her new bundle of joy that she just brought into the world. She's taking some time off. I wanted to make sure she was with her family. God bless them and everything that they lay their hands on. Shout out to the people that's in the building. Let's get the show started, man. I got a clip for y'all I want to play. I don't think we ever went down this rabbit hole before, but I figured let's go ahead and challenge ourselves. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like she did make it. All right. Hold on a second. Let me bring everybody up on the big screen real quick. Hold on. Yo. What's up?
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's almost a week old now. I'm doing pretty good.
You supposed to be resting.
What'd you say?
You supposed to be resting.
Well, as long as I'm not like doing strenuous labor, it should be fine. Talking is totally cool.
Okay. Well, look, we glad you're here. I didn't want to put no extra weight on you, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you're here either way. Congratulations to you, the family, and all that.
Thank you.
I got a clip that I want to play for y'all. It's like 5 minutes. I'm going to let him get his bars off, and we're going to get the show started. Sound good? All right.
Things women say to shame men, gonna go along the line of you must be gay, you must got a small penis, you must don't get no women, you can't handle a woman like me, I'm too much for you, you can't handle all of this, that's why you like them skinny girls. Oh, you want a young girl because she's dumb and naive and you can't run the games on me because I know better. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm thinking of more, but these are dumb things that women say to shame men when they can't manipulate you. You know, if you're broke, then just say that. No, bitch, I'm not finna spend no money on you on no date. You know whether you like me or not. You just told me that you didn't like me by what you just said. You fucking idiot. Bitch is crazy, man. Just stupid shit. I'm a virgin. That's some stupid shit too. You know, just dumb shit they be saying. It's like, bitch, who the hell you think you trying to fool? Who you been talking to? I can tell the type of guys you've been dealing with because they fall for this shit. You know, and it's a difference with men. When you get women as a man, you have the ability to be more of an asshole or more of a I don't give a fuck type of person. And that's the type of person I am. It's like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. I'm not finna sit back and play a game with you. Do you want to do something or not? You know? Because it gets to the point where it's like it's boring. Like, bitch, you know what you want and what you don't want. So I can already see the type of games you're trying to run on me. But man, women so funny and they shaming tactics. They love to try to convince you to be an idiot. Oh, you can't pay for me and my friend? If you broke, then just say that. Am I fucking you and your friend? Because if y'all trying to do a threesome, say that, you know? So we can make something happen. I come as a package deal. It's me and my kids. If you can't accept me and my kids, then you can't accept me. Well, bitch, there go the door. That ain't my kid, you know? And the reason why that's so important too, not because you're heartless, and that's the reason why. It's not because you're heartless. Men have hearts. Men have big hearts. So when a man starts to care for something, you're attached to it. That's why as a man, you have to learn to protect your heart. Women use kids and things against you. They'll come use this innocent kid around you, and you see this kid need this and need that and need a leader in their life and shit like that, which is not your job. And it's that kid came out of her bad decisions, and she trying to use you as an idiot to solve her problems with no responsibility. You know. So with men, it's like, no, don't get attached to that kid, because you'll come around that kid, and the innocence of that kid make you want to make sure that kid's protected forever. And it ain't your job, man. You have to learn to be cold, not because you're evil, but because women would do evil things like that, you know? Just shaming things. Women love to shame men. And if a woman say that she's pregnant, always get a DNA test. I don't give a damn how cool you think she is or how loyal you believe she is. Get that test. Because when women say things like, oh, if a man try to get a DNA test on me with my kid, then he ain't gonna never get to see his kid. Shaming tactic. She's trying to shame you because you know or you sense that she's not a good person or something that didn't happen. Just her nature alone. Woman to put on her front as if she the best person ever. You'll never catch her, in any lies or cheating or betrayal. And you have a baby by her, and you will check to see if the baby's yours or the baby not yours. You'll be sitting back thinking to yourself, how the hell did this bitch manage to deal with other people when she was around me 24/7? It only take 5 minutes to cheat, man. But yeah. Or if a man can't deal with a woman who has a hot body count, that's immature. We grown. That's immature. please, bitch, save that shit for that idiot who gonna believe it, because it ain't me.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Um, I'll say this, and then I'll pass the light. The only reason people use those terms, to me, first of all, he was a little too colorful with his language. So I hope you two don't come for me, but the only reason why people use those type of measures in an argument or in any type of discussion, to me, it's so that they can avoid being seen in a light that's going to deter the other person from investing in them in ways that is more beneficial to them than the other. And now that's all. I'll say that for now, and I'll yield the mic. But yeah, he used a lot of B's, a lot of.
Hey, he sound heartbroken. He sound a little heartbroken, you know. And I've been through all of those stages where he is. Um, besides the language, even with the language, that's the kind of language, we used to. Um, but I've been there, I've heard those terms, and I think a lot of times it comes from low self-esteem. And let me say this first. This is what I did think. It goes both ways because men are like that too. It's just like if you, in a lot of situations, if a guy tries to holler at a girl and she play him to the left, then he'll go and call her all types of names and say she must be this and that, blah, blah, blah. You know how that be. So, but I think a lot of times is low self esteem. It's guidance. If they don't have parents to teach them properly, or if the parents are doing those type of things, and then also the media, what the media is portraying. And I say what it probably started in the 90s, 80s, 90s, with the music, with the movies, this and that. You know what I'm saying? So he had some valid points, but like I don't ever put it to where it's just females, women, whatever, because men are the same way, and men hate rejection to where it's a lot of double standards. It's like a man could sleep around, but as soon as his woman sleep around, he want to kill everybody. A man could sleep around, but if a woman sleep around now, all of a sudden she's you know all of the names. She ain't right. Um, it's a double standard. But the woman that I've dealt with that have treated me like that, I'm glad that I got away from. And I know for a fact that after a while, uh, once you mature and you see that life is not like what you see on TV, what you see on YouTube, what you see on TikTok, then you get rid of that stuff and you just eventually become the one somebody that's down that has your back and you can have theirs. Um, the rest of that, like I said, is a lot of TV stuff. I've dealt with all types of issues like that, and I've never really been one to have money. So, uh, if that is what you was looking for, you wasn't gonna get it. The closer I get to the money now, the further it is away. So, you know, a lot of times, all he could have just said, people need to grow up.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I understand how he kind of came to that assumption and kind of developed those ideas. Um, in, I mean, as Rob just said, I've seen it kind of go both ways. Where I've seen women that were like that, I've seen men that were like that, and in general, people who are scorned like that tend to adopt that type of, sometimes will adopt that attitude of like, I'm going to make myself, like, I'm going to be a dog first because then nobody else can hurt me. And like literally, my husband has said that to me. Like he's like, if you ever cheated, I wouldn't ever get in another relationship. He'd be like, I like the fact that I trust you so much and you're loyal. If you cheated, I'd be like, there's no hope. There's no hope for me to find anyone that's loyal. And I can understand how trauma in relationships would cause that. And the society that we have right now is not very conducive to loyal relationships. There's a lot of stuff out there that entice people to cheat, entice people to have shorter relationships, in social media and everything like that. There's a lot of like singles or single type content encouraging people like, oh, you don't want to get married, you don't want to have families, you just date around and whatever. There's a lot of that stuff out there encouraging people to adopt that behavior. And so when you're kind of steeped in that environment, it's a more natural path to go if you like if you're traumatized by a relationship and you're surrounded by single culture, you're gonna be like, well, that's the better option for me because then I won't have to ever experience trauma again. And I think it's sad because it hurts both men and women. It's not just a male problem or a female problem. It's both because when you have men that expect women to be cheaters, to be liars, they're not going to treat the women that they do end up with correctly and kindly. And then women are going to get the impression that men are just rude and angry and whatever. And then they'll start acting a certain way. So it's almost like a feedback loop where when you have men acting a certain way, women will start acting a certain way, which will reinforce how men are acting. And I've seen this firsthand. I had a friend who now divorced. I don't even think they made it a year. But they got together and he was straight up cheating on her. But he said because she slept around a lot before they got together, he had the right to do that and she didn't because he like once a woman is connected to the man, then I don't know. He had some weird logic, but his whole thing with men was if the woman has been sleeping around, then it shouldn't matter that he sleeps around. And this is the type of behavior that is not conducive to a good relationship at all. And yeah, I think this ideology is definitely responsible for the degradation of a lot of relationships out there now.
For the record, I don't do double standards. I'm a minority. I didn't grow up that way, but I understand it. I think the destructive force that is more out of control than people realize it is. In this instance, what I'm looking at are trained behaviors that were never corrected. Could some of it be based on trauma and survival mode? Sure. But what I dislike about using that as a way to put a band-aid on those negative traits is you're kind of cushioning it and saying, well, I'm gonna let them get a pass because, you know, they grew up around this in school, or they grew up around this when they were in the house. So just let them kind of slide back for a minute. And I'm not really willing to do that because you're a fully grown adult at this point. And if you can get online and you can get on the phone and you can have coffee dates and make adult posts and comments, and you can dress and you can address people with that same, oh, I'm a grown paid man, I'm gonna do this. Then you should be able to tell people exactly what it is, how it is, and where you stand. Why are you scared? Why are you scared of being held accountable? If this person says, I want a DNA test, how are you going to call him sassy or say X, Y, and Z? Matter of fact, let me reverse that. How are you going to shame or gaslight somebody over something that you're guilty of? I see it all the time. If you're innocent, that's one thing. But most that video and this conversation to me is about folks who are guilty and they try to use reverse psychology to get out of the things that they're being addressed about. But I give the mic.
I mean, flat out, it's hard to handle rejection. And if you don't have that, a lot of to be honest with you, you gotta be taught how to be in a relationship. You gotta be taught. It should be shown to you from your mother and your father. But you know, most of the times in this country, most houses is broken up. Right? So when the house is broken up, you can have good parents trying to teach you, but because they're not there and they're not doing what you want them to do, a lot of times you go to the streets, you go to the people who don't know, and they say, well, you know what? This how you need to do this, and this how this should be. And I'm with Sydney too, to where a lot of this stuff come from the men. Most of the time, a woman ain't gonna cheat till the man cheat. A lot of this stuff is picked up from male behavior, and men don't like rejection. And speaking from experience, I'm very soft to the point where very sensitive and very gullible to where they tell me right now, if I made a fortune, they'll have to manage it because I'll give it away because I feel for anybody in the struggle because I remember the days when I was hungry. I remember the days there wasn't nobody there. I remember the days there wasn't nothing in the fridge. So I'm always very sensitive to where people they almost smell it on me like, bro, you got let me hold this, let me hold that. And I've been, you know what I'm saying, to where once I grew up, the way I used to treat girls, they started treating me. And I've had that question like, oh, you don't want to holler at me? What's wrong with you? You must be, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, you know, I don't want no drama. I don't like drama. Once I grew up, the first two things I didn't like when I stopped stealing, I hated thieves. And when I stopped liking drama and participating in drama, I began to avoid people that get into drama. So once I saw that in people, I got away from it, right? But it took me 10, 15 years to get my mind right to be able to learn how to deal with people and to stop playing with people. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like to play. So, you know, in today's culture, he's right. You should just be forthcoming, but most people are not. Like I even used to be like, all right, I'm gonna get the Louis Vuitton, I'm gonna get the Gucci sneakers, I'm gonna get the red monkey, the chrome heart jeans. so that I don't even have to talk when I go in the club. I don't have to talk. I'm gonna get the big S600 Benz, and I ain't gonna have to speak. And then when I grew up, I realized like, oh, if you got somebody, a female or whoever that wants to be around you because you got a pair of $1,000 sneakers on, or you got a fast car, and that's all they with you for, you're gonna have a problem. Because what happens when you don't have that stuff come and go. Or what happens when the next person come around and got it, or just a conversation with that type of person that's materialistic, superficial, it's going to end up bad for you because that's a boring situation. My uncle used to tell me all the time, Uncle Jay, shout out Uncle Jay. He used to say, yo, you could only, let's say, make love 4 hours a day at the most. What you gonna do after that? What you gonna have to talk about? What you working on? You know what I'm saying? What are y'all building together? What kind of person? What kind of family? And I used to be thinking like, oh, you crazy, bro. Like I ain't got time for that. But then once I grew up again, I matured. A lot of alone time, a lot of being by myself, a lot of finding out who I was. I realized that the stuff that I thought was important wasn't worth a hill of beans. You know what I'm saying? So I said all that to say that people be responding. A lot of times we follow the music, or we follow our favorite artists or whatever, and then you think that's right. But the one thing that I know, that misery loves company. And once you grow up and you get from all that and you get that out your system, you don't have time for nobody that's gonna be playing around. So when you see that, it's a laughable moment because you'd be like, ah, yeah. I hollered at a chick before and she was like, nah, you weak. And I'm like, I want to flip out, go crazy. Blah, blah, blah. And then it was, you know what? It's like I dodged a bullet at the same time. In certain ways, I was weak. I was weak because I wowed out on them after they rejected me because I was embarrassed. But after a while, when you grow up, man, you ain't got time for all that, man. And once you grow up, ideally you gravitate towards people who growed up and matured too. So where you don't have to have those problems, everything be out in the open. You don't have to deal with those situations. So a lot of it is again a lack of guidance. Definitely if you listen in the media, or if you out on the block listening to everybody around the block who you think is respectable and they ain't teaching you the right things, that could, you know what I'm saying? But again, once you fall and keep falling on your face and you get tired of falling and dealing with people that was there when you was down in the dumps and they ain't mine, then you get on your business and you separate from any kind of drama, any kind of negativity, any kind of materialism, anything superficial, because you working too hard for that.
I think also there's an element of like lack of identity as well, because I do a lot of research, partially for myself and partially out of interest, on how our stuff affects us, how ownership of belongings affects our mental state, and how we use that to attach to an identity we think we have. And I think another reason why people have so many relationship issues is because they don't know themselves. They don't know exactly what they value. They don't know what they actually love, apart from, like, you have natural interests that will reoccur independent of anybody else, no matter what anyone tells you, no matter what you see, what advertisement, whatever you're exposed to. Everybody has natural interests that they'll always gravitate towards, but a lot of people are so distracted by everything else out there, like as you were saying, like getting the next outfit, getting the next shoes, like fulfilling all these trends and trying to fit in with people you think are your friends but actually aren't. And so when you have that disorganized state of being, once you get in those relationships, you don't have a foundation, a structure to who you are. And so you're going to be like, you need to know yourself so you can know what partner is best for you, because you need to know, like, do you want somebody who's gonna, like, are you a talkative person? Are you gonna have somebody that you can have conversations with, or are you guys more like outdoor people? And like, these are really simple examples, but like, there's innate things that are part of you that the other person should be able to fulfill or at least support. And if you don't have that in a partner, it's not going to be sustainable, because something that people don't really consider is, if you're choosing to partner with somebody, chances are, like, if you are in the relationship for the right reasons, you're going to want to be with this person for hopefully decades, if you're lucky. And in that time, people will change, will shift things that they do, people that they hang out with, places that they go, careers that they have, but they're still going to have those fundamental things that make them who they are. And if you don't know that, you're not paying attention to who you are, as I said, you're going to match yourself to somebody that's not a good fit. And somewhere down the road, unless you guys are good at like adjusting with each other, for each other, you're going to hit an impasse and somebody's going to leave the relationship. So I think that's another thing that kind of contributes to this ideology of like, oh, relationships aren't worth it, they're just going to end. Because people don't know what they want when they're getting into the relationship, and so they end up diverting their attention to other people that they think are going to fit those needs. So I think, besides the cultural aspect, I think there's a lot of internal struggle as well that's contributing to this type of ideology about relationships. Because as I said, if you don't know yourself, you don't know what to look for in a relationship that's going to actually fulfill you and last you a long time. And that is just the recipe for these relationships falling apart. And if you continue not doing the work, you're just going to have a pattern of relationships falling apart, because you never did the work on yourself, you never took accountability, you never looked at your own side of the issue. Because, you know, relationships go both ways. If you're not willing to do the work yourself, the other person is probably not going to do the work either. So, yeah, I think that also really contributes to this kind of decline in the impressions of relationships, honestly, because I don't know, when I hear this type of logic, it just sounds like they got hurt once and gave up, and we're just like, well, there's nobody out there for me. Clearly, this one example resulted in failure, so they're all going to result in failure. And when humans, at least, have been traumatized, we tend to hold on to it for a very long time. And if you kind of fall into that pattern, it's going to continue reinforcing that trauma. I think it's really unfortunate, because he definitely, as Rob said earlier, he definitely was hurt at some point. Somebody broke his heart, and or it's how your parents raised you. A lot of people can also be traumatized before they even start dating and getting in relationships, because something happened with their parents, whether it was the parents splitting up, as you pointed out, or even parents that are like inattentive, not there for you, that are self-centered, parents that have emotional difficulties, personality difficulties, are going to end up passing it down to you, or they're going to affect your behavior into the future and make you either hostile or at least shy of relationships, and more likely to just be like, nah, I don't trust it. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that kind of create that behavior, and it's really sad that we don't have a society that reinforces more positive relationships with both friends and family members, or relationships.
I'm gonna be bouncing around a little bit here. Where do I want to go first? Because I was thinking about this while both of y'all was speaking. Let's say One side is a fully functional adult. They did the homework. They know exactly who they are, what they want. If they did go through the sifting process of getting out of this toxic behavior pattern that has been presented to them over X amount of years through social media and the environment, and they're good, and they're dealing with someone who is a representation of what he spoke about, or a representation of what Rob's speaking about, because Rob's speaking about men and rejection, while this gentleman here is speaking about women who don't like to be held accountable when they are challenged. So let's use both examples. If a person is good, he's healed, or she's healed, and she comes into contact with someone who has all of these underlying issues, does that mean that, like what Chef just said, they're attracted to a certain archetype of person? Is it, or does it negate who the other person is? Does that mean that the other person doesn't love or respect or care about them in the ways that fully healthy, capable, functional adult would the other person? How do you gauge that? If I'm giving you 1,000%, I question your intelligence. I challenge you to be better. I'm pouring into you. I'm not here to waste your time. But in the process of us growing together, friendship, relationship, marriage, I see things in you that I think could be better. Or I see things in you that's directly affecting me. And I say something to you, and then your retort is to make me feel bad about saying something to you about it. Is that a red flag to run away? Does that mean that this person is not equipped and prepared to be in this type of situation? How do you gauge, or how do you look at that?
First of all, you can't help nobody don't want to help theyself. And it don't matter what. You could see potential in a person, but if they don't see it and they don't want to build, then you have to leave them alone. And you can learn that the easy way or the hard way. Second, I know from experience, as much as I say I dodged a bullet a couple times when I was in a bad state of mind, because I used to always be, now I'm from New York. I hated everything. I hated everybody. Wasn't nothing good enough. So I was in, it's crazy. We was eating Chinese food one time. I was with my dog, and the food was good. And my dog said, "How the food?" I said, "It's all right." And he said, "God, dog, Rob, you don't like nothing. What are you talking about? The food is good. Just say the food is good. It's gonna be all right." And that had changed my life. I said that to say that changed my life because I didn't like nothing. I ain't like nobody, and I would, because I had these low self-esteem issues and character flaws, I would look to other people, look at their flaws, or they head big, or they ugly, or this, and I used to, after a while I realized I was just hating. So when I realized that, the best experience I had is that I did good people wrong. And I don't care who you are. When you do a person that had your back wrong, you gonna pay. I don't, it don't, it ain't no other way to slice it. You gonna pay. And also, when you think you right, that's when you at your most dangerous. So when you gotta, when you do, you feel like you projecting and everybody else is crazy but you, 100% of the times you the crazy one. So you will run good people off. You know what I'm saying? Male or female. And when you do that, You could be two ways. You could say, well, it was them. And I know people like that, and they lonely now. And some people make an excuse. Oh, that's how it's supposed to be. This the way I like it. Da 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 da. But at the same time, on the other side, when you run a good person off and you sitting in a funk, and that ain't even economic. When you sitting in a funk in your mind, you realize, you know what? I'll never do that again because you only get two, three of those people out your life, maybe five at the most, who really gonna care for you that you can really trust. Most people you can't trust. So that's the growth right there. When you like, oh, you know what? I had a good one, and it ain't no coming back because once a good person is fed up, once they clean their hands with it, it's over. And then you got other people who like drama. They like mess. They like messy people. That's just what is normal to them. It becomes normal. If you don't catch it early, it becomes normal. And that's just the type of relationships they like. You know what I'm saying? They so even with them at the end of the day, I stay away from them because those type of people like to make their emergency your emergency. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you could tell them about their patterns or whatever. They'll say that you're judging them, right? So what you do after a while, how you deal with that. To your question, if I'm answering it, I don't went all over the place. If I'm answering it, is that if you could see, because it's one thing to not have nothing and want something. You ain't got nothing, you ain't trying to do nothing, but you want me to come save your life. You lost. It's another thing to not have nothing and say, you know what, I don't have this, but I'm working. And once you see that potential, you know what, I'll meet you here and then we can get where we want to be. Because I can't save you at the end of the day anyway. Like I said, I can't help you if you can't help yourself. So you got that, you know what I'm saying, that dynamic. And what I'll say is if the relationship is draining all the time, if nothing is ever good enough, if nothing you do is good enough, if everything they feel like all of their character flaws is on you, then you have to separate from that person or those people. And once you do, it gets lonely a lot of time because a lot of people fear being alone too. A lot of people just can't be alone. And I'm a proponent to where if you can't be happy by yourself, you can't be happy with nobody. So anybody that you meet that's got that negative energy, no matter what, then you have to separate from that person, especially if you're an optimistic person, because people will steal your joy. And I'm gonna tell you that straight up because I used to listen to people because I know they'll beat my tail. They beat the brakes off people. They hurt people. So I'll listen. I'll take their word as God, or I'll listen to people because they could do certain things that nobody else could, and they'd be wrong, sitting there all day, just wrong. And I'd sit there, and then after a while, I was like, oh, you know what? All that time I should have been in the library, or I was doing this and that, da 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 da. So when it comes to relationships, once you on that uplift, they say that they got that meme all the time to where once you get out your hole, don't go around the people that want to see you back in that hole. So when it come to that, um, the rejection and all that, it's one thing. Okay, you know what? That person was like this at first. They grew up. But after a while, if you're on a steady incline and you're working every single day to change your patterns, then you have to stay away from anybody that's not working with you to stay up there. And it's not about being perfect. It's about finding a place to where you're comfortable with yourself, happy with yourself, and then you're ready to bring people in. And if you find out that they're not willing to do the work, because changing your patterns is the hardest thing in the world, and that's why most people don't want. If you got somebody that don't want to do that, then I don't care how good they look, I don't care how good they feel, you got to separate.
Yeah, to go along with what you're saying about like being lonely and stuff like that, I think that's another complication. I don't know if that's the right word, but it adds to people's willingness, I guess, to get into relationships that aren't good fits. There's a lot of people out there that are not comfortable with being alone. They think that because they're alone, that they are lonely, and they don't know how to spend time with just themselves. They don't know how to just exist in themselves. And so a lot of people will use relationships as distractions, as methods to fix themselves, as methods to kind of avoid the things that are that exist in them. As you said, progress is really, really hard for people to sustain. A lot of people can do it in short bursts. They give up a habit, they start a habit, and whatnot. But I mean, the best example is New Year's. Like, everyone starts a New Year's resolution, but how many people on February 1st are still up doing that New Year's resolution that they set? A random comment that came to mind that always makes me laugh is, if you ever want the best stuff, go to Goodwill in February, because then people are getting rid of all of the stuff that they got to help them with their habits and didn't keep up with it. But a lot of people don't work on themselves, don't practice being themselves. And so you end up with people that are very deeply uncomfortable just being by themselves. And so then they just take whatever relationship they can get. That way they can partially fulfill what they think they need from that particular relationship. And oftentimes if you're doing something just out of desperation, it's not usually going to end well. Your chances of you getting lucky are pretty slim. And again, if this is something my psych teacher used to say, if you have two people with trauma getting into a relationship, you're just going to create more trauma, because you cannot mix together two people that are working on themselves if the personalities are not conducive. Because sometimes you can get people together that are kind of on the same page and work together on the same goals. But most of the time, if you're coming with relationship trauma, with parental trauma, and you've done little to no work on it, it's going to start causing problems, because those anxieties are going to crop up, those bad habits are going to come back up. As soon as you exit that honeymoon stage, as soon as you have that first obstacle in your relationship, the cracks are going to start to show. You're going to start to see the incompatibility. You're going to see the different directions, the inability to emotionally balance each other, all of which are really important, very undervalued things. Like, to be in a healthy relationship, you have to have emotional control, because if you don't, you're going to be exerting your every emotional whim on that person. And if they're in the vicinity of you all the time and they're getting your constant anger, your constant complaining, your constant nagging, whatever it is, it's not going to bode well with the other person. So there's elements of growth that are absolutely necessary for relationships. But if you're not able to sustain that growth, if you're not willing to work on that growth or have accountability to recognize that you need growth, it's not really going to go well for you.
Gaslighting people to make them feel bad, or trying to convince them to find interest in you, is a no-no. Overly trying to sell somebody on your character is a no-no. If you make adult decisions, you should be able to deal with adult reactions. Why is it so easy to do the things that we are legally able to do, but everything else seems to be so fleeting from your lips? It's like you be bold, you be loud, you be arrogant, cocky, and everything. So until you know, you don't like it. Somebody wants to sit down and talk about you, but not in a way that kind of pedestalizes you, you're not happy. You should be able to take the good and the bad. Because for one, a lot of it you probably created. And if there's a misunderstanding, then you should be able to talk to whoever it is that you're engaging with to get through. Unless you were there consciously for nefarious reasons. Now, if you're trying to have a healthy dialogue with somebody and you know that it's not going to be a comfortable one, how do you approach it? And not care. You're going to be as tactful as possible, but you still got to hear it out. You can't really be concerned about how they feel. You still have to speak on it, because if you don't, then nothing changes. You want change. The other person, on the other hand, is probably going to be more contentious. In this case, like Rob said, it's probably better if you just leave, especially if they got that reprobate mind, they're stuck in their ways, and all really. When you talk, all they hear is themselves talking. And if that's the case, you definitely are ready to the end. I can't see people who respect you ignoring every word that come out your mouth, steadily sweeping stuff under the rug that is potentially harmful to you, and then want to make you feel bad for observing and being very present with them. It's like you're being punished for being more involved than they are. Mask, yeah, you can only hold up for so long. You shouldn't be scared for your flaws. You should be more open to them, share them, expose them. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to walk away. They can't handle who you are. They don't like that this happened to you. They don't like that you're this kind of person. They don't like that you're promiscuous, or we have this history. All right, well, you weren't for me, because I'm not here to condemn nobody. We all went through stuff and we all try to do better. I thought that's what we were all doing here. And correct me if I'm wrong. If that's not what this deal is, then you're more than welcome to go. The door is open for everybody. You can't make nobody stay somewhere they don't want to stay. People who really want to be there, they find ways. I ain't never came across a single soul on this planet that was invested in somebody and didn't do everything possible before they left, unless they were forced and they had no other choice. People will literally go to their grave fighting as hard as they can to make this work. So everything else is an excuse to me. And that's how you really know.
I'm gonna say this. First thing, people got to get rid of their expectations. You can't ask nobody to do something for you that you can't do for yourself. Second, if you think everybody crazy, you the one crazy. Third, if you like drama, then say that and probably stick around people that like drama, because if you like drama, once you get around adults who take care of their business, and they see them bills is coming no matter what every 30 days, and they're working hard to improve their life and the life of their family, then that's who you go around, the people that want to improve. If people want to make excuses for why this ain't happening and that ain't happening, you know, a lot of cases they could be right, but at the same time, when you dealing with determined and driven people, they're gonna find a way around it. Even if it's no way in that, at the end of the day, they're gonna feel better because they did their best before they went to sleep. They did the best they can. And you can't knock nobody for trying. You know what I'm saying? So the immaturity is rampant. That's understandable. But I will say this: stop listening to the radio, letting them, because I'm the first one, and it took 20 years to deprogram myself because I listened to my favorite rappers, and I thought that their word was law, and a lot of things that they gave me did work. But a lot of the stupid stuff I heard, I'm looking at myself now like I used to live by that. And so don't listen to the entertainers. Don't believe half what you see on TV, half what you hear on the radio, half what you see on YouTube, whatever the social medias, whatever. Don't believe none of that, and know that if you trying to get in a relationship, there's no days off. Every person comes with issues. I don't care if they're filthy, stinking rich. They could be a billionaire. They probably got more issues than a person with $0 in their account. They all come with families that you got to vet out and see if that's who you want to be dealing with. And then also you got to look at the life you want in the future. Stop looking in for like there's no tomorrow. Because if you prepare for today, if you work for today, and nothing is wrong, you're not sick enough, and there's a good chance that you might make it to tomorrow. So how you gonna do better tomorrow than you was today? So when you get in these relationships, stop thinking that 2, 3 months you in love for the rest of your life and this and that, because everything feels good, because everybody does this in the beginning. And like Sydney said, like you said, Deep, everybody changes over time. So when you get to um meet people or whatever, if they reject you, that might be a good thing. You could see you that's your time to learn. Okay, what was it about you that they rejected? If they rejected you, they could be a bad person. You'll probably be very happy. But at the end of the day, you got to look at these people and say, okay, what's what would we be doing in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? And I'm preaching to the choir because that's something that I never used to look at. I ain't think tomorrow was promised. I ain't think I was gonna make it to today. So I'm speaking from experience. So where you jump in these relationships, or you feel some kind of way when people say no, and it's that could be a good no is a great thing a lot of times. So when you hear that word, be thankful. And the last thing I'm gonna say is you'll have a lot less problems if you choose the people who choose you. You a lot of times in this country, I don't know if other countries or just in human nature in general, we want what we can't have. We fantasize all day about things that we can't have, things the furthest from us. But I could tell you this: when you deal with people who want to deal with you, they want to see you win, and life becomes a lot easier because they have you emotionally. It ain't nothing about money, because money don't unlame a person, and money brings more problems than you had when you ain't have nothing. The happiest people I ever seen in the world didn't have nothing. They was poor, sleeping in hammocks, sleeping in huts. They don't have none of the stress we have over here. They eat good. They don't have diabetes. They don't have high blood pressure. They work all day. They take care of their families. They go home. They enjoy life because a lot of times less is more. So it's one thing you might chase or something, whatever. But if a person don't want you, You, like you said deep earlier, you can't force them to want you. So you choose who choose you. Like who like you. Looks don't matter. Money don't matter. It's what's inside that person in their heart and what they want to do that's going to determine if that's a good person for you or not. And make sure if you do get that person that you treat them right the whole time. Even if you break up, you make sure that it's peaceful in a way that where nobody is hurt and you was honest about it and you felt like you needed to move on. You don't have to lie. You don't have to, if you be straight up from the jump, be honest from the jump, you won't have them problems and you go about your business. But don't mess up your relationship. Don't burn no bridges with a person that treated you good because you're going to pay every time.
I just had a funny comment that you made me think of. I saw the movie Obsession recently, and I immediately thought of that when you said, like, you can't make someone love you. I'm like, yeah, if you don't believe us, just watch Obsession and see what happens if you try to make someone love you. But yeah, people don't. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people who are immersed in the social media culture are so distracted by what they're seeing that they just don't know themselves. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they want from relationships. And I think when you're chasing a specific vision, you're going to end up following the wrong thing. Like shiny, as my teacher would say, like shiny squirrel. You're going to be distracted by any number of things that catch your attention, even though they don't have any value to you. And you're going to think that because you're surrounded by all these people who are one-upping each other, showing the best outfits, the best parties, the best drinks, the best whatever, you're going to think in your head, just because of how psychology works. Like when we were hunter-gatherers, you wanted more food than the other tribe because that meant you're more likely to survive the winter. We have that ingrained in our minds that if somebody has more than you, they must be more successful than you. They must be happier than you because they have everything you want. But that's not how it works, because every person is going to need different things. Every person is going to love different things. And if you're constantly watching what other people are doing, you're not going to actually know what you yourself wants in your life. And the people that are the most happy, the most satisfied, are the ones that live in themselves, that exist for themselves in the way that makes them comfortable and happy, and in a way that attracts the people to them that they genuinely enjoy. And I think that's something social media and the internet has definitely stolen from us, is the ability to differentiate self from other. And I think we as a society need to really grasp, really need to understand that and start using our own selves to kind of direct our lives rather than the internet. I also have a poem I thought would be fitting. Although I can't decide between the two. I have one that's on emotional trauma, and then I have one that's on like selfishness and the self. Do you have a preference between the two?
Let's go trauma for 200, Alex.
Okay. So this one is called Disconnected, and I wrote it to, it goes through kind of the cycle of trauma and how that affects relationships. So, Disconnected. Was it my mother's clutch, or was it me? Have I always been untouchable, uncomfortable with contact? Was it me who made me feel a loving stroke was always an irritation? Was I already fighting for freedom from claustrophobic connection, from sensations I rejected? Or was it the middle school friend that decided my body was his game controller, silently projecting his own abuse into my own innocent skin, the parts I still hadn't come to understand myself? Did he teach my nerves to jump with any innocent hug? Or was it my history of anger, the borderline bipolar behavior, drawing connections between my mother's hand and my disinterest in her affections. Was I born without desire for humility, or did discipline sever my cords? Did the spoon, the snatched pear, the red marks and screaming talks tear my touch trust apart? Or perhaps it was the mistakes I made, relationships I forced in the hopes to never be alone, staying for attention but despising intentions, sans attraction, commitment attacked me. I stayed to feel normal while knowing it wasn't, devoid of my interest and attachment. Did I go against who I knew myself to be, or did I create my own hesitancy, training myself to ignore my discomfort in the hopes I'd be loved? Did I let myself decide compassion was not to be trusted, or did the world do it on its own? How do I know what is me, and what is the trauma's gentle whispering memory? Dare I say my distance has saved me, kept me immune to the pressures of an adult man's insistence at only 17, kept me in tune with invisible signs of an unwanted college encounter before it took my flower in the sands of my peace. The resistance kept me from oversharing, the temple which I tentatively called home, kept my flesh from the eyes of clicks and saves, kept me comfortable with my clothes closed, flaunting my femininity with fortitude, though it was tempting to taste the temptations of adulthood. The silence my skin savored kept my church closed to only true worshipers. Dare I say I got lucky. My distance from my skin gave me the chance to know myself. To this day, side hugs reign, love comes through, conversations and giving, but I'm comfortable in a crowd of those who love me and honor my boundaries just the way I need. Dare I say I got lucky to be loved and to love you back in the way I always wanted, craved, in a way that healed my aversion, reversed my sensory distortion, and gave me a reason to relearn to embrace touch, patience transforming into trust because you love me so much. And I dedicated that to my husband for everything that he's done for me in our 10 years together. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that.
Yo, when they start saying poems and they stuff, they better acknowledge where they got it. If I see you say a poem in your podcast, if you don't shout out Sydney first, you biting, dude.
It was beautiful. That was a beautiful run.
Thank you.
Shout outs. I'm glad you can make it. What's the shout outs to Rob, shout outs to Sid, shout outs to everybody that pulled up to the stream tonight, man. Blessings to everybody in the building. I hope the week goes the way that you wanted it to. Any final words before we get up out of here?
Shout out Chef Nutty B, man. Go get Chef Nutty music, man. Go get Chef Nutty. He's dropping. He just went crazy on Instagram, all his outlets. Go get Chef Nutty B music right now.
Seconded.
That being said, we about to get out of here. Do this out before you go, if you don't mind.
What's the goddamn button?
I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all be easy.
Have a good night, y'all.
Yes, congratulations, Sid.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
The flow insane. Take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane.